Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining me today on this beautiful Saturday. I hope to change your opinion about hearing healthcare today once you see this presentation. I do have a lot of videos and in the presentation, so you will hopefully be able to hear everything. We've done our sound check, so we're going to kick it off right now with an introductory video. So if that doesn't get you pumped up, and I'm not sure what will, we're just getting started with the features of this technology, and I'm really excited to share them with you. But first, I thought you should know a little bit about who is Starkey. And we are one of the big 5 hearing aid manufacturers. So just so you know, there are 5 hearing aid manufacturers that supply 99% of the entire world's hearing devices. We are proud of the fact that we are the only American-owned and operated hearing aid manufacturer. We have been since 1967. We are privately held. The owner of Starkey is Mr. Bill Austin and his wife Tanny Austin. They have owned the company since 1967, and now their son is the president of Starkey. But Mr. Austin, being 76 years old, is still the CEO and very much engaged with the day-to-day activities. We do employ over 5,000 people across the world. We are very excited to have the most audiologists on staff than any manufacturer. And really what kind of broke ground in the hearing industry was in 1983, President Reagan was fit with the first in-the-canal hearing device. And this happened to be by Starkey and Bill Austin. And that's really what put Starkey on the map, and that's really what changed the fact that, wow, we can customize devices to make them smaller and fit in the ear. So that was a boom and a kind of a revolution back at that time. We do have an all-make repair factory in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, where we're located. We will repair any hearing device. And then we have a nonprofit organization called the Starkey Hearing Foundation that Bill and Tanny started many, many years ago. And that's really their mission in life, is so the world may hear. So that's a little bit about the company. As John mentioned, I am based out of Central Florida, and I've been with Starkey for 8 years. I have been an audiologist since 2004 when I graduated, and we haven't evolved very much as an industry up until the past 2 years when we finally decided, okay, as a company, we need to do something. We need to reinvent the hearing aid because we are tired of this being what everyone thinks about when they think about a hearing device. So I think today you will be very happy to hear and super impressed that we are inventing the next generation of devices.
Snowy on scene.
There we go.
so great and do all these different gears in the plan.
Okay.
Nice. Get into the airport.
Your ball, my ball. Doesn't have a point.
Yeah, right off to the side.
You say. That's good.
Right. Other guys, not all of them.
So that's introducing Livio AI, and we will learn today all of these cool features that we are very proud of with this technology, because you all know more than anybody, being a group of technology leaders and innovators, wearable technology is exploding. There are millions and millions of Fitbits and body-worn tracking devices sold every year. Baby boomers are changing the game. Health technology is at the forefront, and this is even more so now with our current situation, having to evolve the way that you receive your health care. And hands-free is a new trend. So we have virtual intelligent assistants that help us in our day-to-day lives now. So we've taken all of that information and we've decided that, heck, we have an ear, we have technology. The ear is a great place to measure technology, heart rate, to measure your steps, because your head always knows what you're doing, right? Your head knows if you're sitting, standing, walking, falling. So we are taking the ear and making it the new wrist. So that's what we mean when we say we are reinventing the hearing aid with Livio AI. Now, all of those fun features that we'll talk about that are kind of what make it a healthable really stem from the fact that hearing loss is connected to so many other health conditions. And some of these you may be aware of and some of them you may not. So let's take a look at a slide that talks about them. So we probably can relate to a lot of those health conditions that were talked about in that slideshow. And our ear is so connected to so many things, really because it's a very vascular system. It's connected to the brain very closely, and we require a lot of blood flow to the ear as well. So we're introducing the first healthable. This is a new term in our industry that is now trademarked by Starkey. And we can do this because we are integrating sensors and artificial intelligence technology on board the device. So we are not using data from the phone. We are not using data from wrist-worn devices. We are actually collecting the data from the sensors on board the hearing devices. So let's take a look at a quick video about it.
We recently introduced the world's first healthable hearing aid. So, what is healthable hearing technology? Simple. It uses artificial intelligence and embedded sensors to produce superior sound quality and deliver smart health and wellness benefits too. Healthable hearing technology can do things like track your steps and activity levels, motivating you to move more, which can help keep you healthier as you age. It can measure social engagement and active listening to help reduce cognitive decline. In fact, treating hearing loss is the single greatest change you can make to lower your risk of dementia. Healthable hearing technology can even detect falls and send alerts to help give you and your loved ones peace of mind. Sure, other devices can track physical activity, but research shows the ear provides more accurate data. In fact, it is the body's sweet spot for reliable health monitoring and tracking, and it's all in a device you wear every day, all engineered to help you hear better and live healthier. So the question isn't, what is healthable hearing technology? The question is, why didn't anyone think of this before?
Okay, so let's talk about some of these cool, innovative features. So the first thing we'll talk about is the overall body score, and this is really a Fitbit on your ear. We know if we've been to the doctor anytime as an adult that our doctor has told us that we need to get up and move, right? We need to walk around. We need to make sure that we elevate our heart rate a couple times a day. And there's a ton of research, in particular out of Kaiser Permanente. They have put a lot of, I guess, what we would call like public relations and getting it out there, that just walking 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, drastically reduces your risk of these terrible illnesses that could happen. So we know that people are into this because they buy these healthable, trackable devices, Fitbits and Garmin's, and all of that technology is there. But we've never really correlated it into our hearing devices. But now we have. So we have an inertia sensor on board the hearing aids that tell us our orientation, if we're moving, if we're standing, if we're running, if we're riding bicycles, things like that. So every day when you put on your hearing devices, you will receive a body score. And that body score is just like any other Fitbit that you may wear, a tracking device. It's going to count your steps. If your steps turn into miles, it'll show you the miles that you walked or ran. It's going to show you your activity. And activity means anything more than a brisk walk to get that heart rate elevated. And then it's going to show you your moves. And if you currently wear an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, you know that if you've been sitting for a while, it reminds you that it's time to stand up and take a move, walk around. And that's what that move category is. So every day you have the ability to get 100 points from your body score. And it does track just like another trackable device. You'll be able to go back and look previous days, weeks, months, or even years to see how you're doing and try to beat your score each day. My favorite part about this whole entire hearing revolution is the fact that we're finally shining some light on bringing awareness to the effects of our brain with untreated hearing loss. Now, we've known about it for years, and we studied in school, but now physicians and other healthcare workers are really starting to pay attention to the research, because untreated hearing loss leads to social isolation. And social isolation is one of the biggest risk factors for some form of cognitive decline. In fact, if you think about what the harshest form of imprisonment is here in the United States, is solitary confinement. So we give that to our worst criminals, but we know, and the same thing happens with untreated hearing loss leading to that social isolation. So that's just how bad it is for us. So we now can have a daily brain score, because it's important to make sure that we stay engaged every day. If we sit at home and watch television all day, which unfortunately has been happening recently because of the COVID-19 situation, that's not good for our brain. And you start to probably see that on the news now, that we have to make sure that we engage, calling our friends and family, using FaceTime, video chat, playing games together. We really have to do what we can to keep our brain engaged. So every day in the Thrive app with the Livio devices, you'll get a brain score. So you can get 100 points from your body score, and you can get 100 points from your brain score, and they both reset every day. So the first is the use. Well, we know as hearing care professionals that it's really, really important to wear your hearing aids at least 12 hours a day and put them in and wear them all day, every single day. So you'll get some points for the hours that you wear them. You'll also get points that tick up as you start to have conversations. If you have conversations in quiet, if you have conversations in complex listening situations, in noise, in music, you'll get those engagement points. You also get engagement points when you stream, if you're talking to loved ones on your phone or video chatting or watching movies or things, you'll get a few points for streaming as well. And then active listening lets us know, well, have you been in mostly quiet situations? Have you been in very different listening environments? And you'll get points for those, as many different environments that you're in each day. So now we know the research supports brain health and keeping our brain healthy with physical exercise and, making sure that we eat healthy. And now we can put a score every day to kind of gamify it to make sure that we are engaging enough with our brain. One of the biggest health concerns for the population that we typically work with for hearing care is the fall risk. And statistically, falls are just a huge epidemic in the world, and especially in the United States. Every 11 seconds, an older adult is seen in the ER for a fall-related injury. People with hearing loss are more likely to have a history of falling. And then the more hearing loss that you have, the more likely you are to have a fall. And it's really because our balance system and our hearing system are connected in the inner ear. They share the same fluid, so if one of those is compromised, it will affect the other. The research does support, though, that when you correct your hearing, your risk of falls goes down. So we know it's a huge epidemic, and because we can put sensors on our Livio devices now, those inertia sensors, we can now detect when someone has had a fall and send alerts to selected contacts or loved ones. So let's watch a video on this.
Falling is a major health problem and a growing concern, not just for the patient, but for caregivers too. More than 65 million people currently provide care for a disabled, chronically ill, or older friend or family member. And every 11 seconds, an older adult is seen in an emergency room for a fall-related injury. Thanks to integrated sensors, Livio AI is the first hearing aid that can detect when a hearing aid wearer has fallen and send alert messages to selected contacts. Here's how Fall Alert works. The hearing aid wearer selects up to 3 contacts to be notified if they fall. Contacts are entered via the Thrive Hearing Control app. If a fall occurs, alerts can either be sent automatically, or the hearing aid wearer can send them manually by just tapping on their hearing aid. Fall Alert is an easy-to-use feature that addresses a serious issue. It helps patients maintain their independence while giving caregivers welcome peace of mind.
So one of the big healthcare initiatives is, having birthdays and aging at home, right? Most people do want to aids at home. And so when we can provide technology like fall alerts, oops, uh-oh. What happened here? It's open. There we go. Sorry about that. My mouse moved. But when we can provide technology with fall alerts, that really does provide peace of mind to loved ones so that they know, okay, I feel more comfortable that my mom wants to stay at home because I'll be alerted if there's a fall. And then, of course, we have other fall systems as well that are available out there. And then let's talk about heart rate. So I mentioned that heart rate is, our ear is very vascular. And believe it or not, we can measure heart rate at the ear canal. It does require a custom earpiece, but in the Thrive app, you would be able to see your body score, your brain score, and your heart rate. Heart rate's really popular. A lot of physicians, ask you to monitor your heart rate and your heart rate recovery because it gives us great indicators of your overall health. So we have that technology also in the Livio devices. And now let's talk about some of these fun, accessible, increasing accessibility features. And this is where it really gets fun. And I know we don't have a ton of time, and so if there are questions, you'll probably need to submit them, and then they'll get emailed to me, and then I can respond back with everyone's answers, with the answers to your questions. But let's talk about some of these cool features. So when we launched this product, really we launched it about 18 months ago. We received world news because there was a hearing device that does real-time language translation. And that is just the coolest thing. That kind of put us on the map. And people that really weren't looking at hearing aids before, they're like, whoa, wow, this is pretty cool. I might take a peek at these. So here's a short video of how language translation works. And sometimes I have to show this twice because it goes pretty fast. So take a look here.
Excuse me, could you please help me?
Por supuesto, señor. Dígame, ¿cómo le puedo ayudar?
Of course, sir. Tell me how I can help you.
So what you're looking at here is the gentleman on the right in the blazer. If you're looking at the screen, he's wearing the devices. He's trying to communicate with the gentleman on the left with the coffee, asking him for some help. So he talks into the phone, shows it to the gentleman reads it in his language, which is Spanish in this case, talks back, it'll show up on the screen, but then it's translated directly into the Livio devices in the preferred language. In this case, it's English. So there are 27 languages available. This technology is very similar to Google Translate, if you are familiar with that type of technology. So that's the translate feature. And then we have a virtual assistant, and these are really popular these days. Alexa, Amazon, Siri, Google. I think every house has one of these devices, and of course our smartphones help us navigate day to day using these virtual assistants. So we have that as well in the Livio devices. So you can kind of catch on to a theme here. We're making our products do more than just one thing so that people will want to wear them and enjoy wearing them. So let's take a look at the virtual assistant.
With technologies quickly changing, the hearing aid has evolved into a multi-purpose device. Our Livio AI hearing aids work with the Thrive Hearing Control app to provide users with new information services like Thrive Virtual Assistant. Thrive Virtual Assistant is an app-based feature that gives users helpful information about their hearing aids and accessories. The feature is initiated by tapping on a button within the Thrive app or with a double tap on the wearer's hearing aids. Users can ask a question like, how do I customize my hearing aid settings? Thrive Virtual Assistant will find the answer and immediately display the best help file. Thrive Virtual Assistant is just one example of how we're reinventing the hearing aid as a multi-purpose device that delivers benefits beyond traditional amplification.
Recently, we introduced an additional features to our virtual assistant. So the video mentioned that you can double tap on the hearing device, and that is true because we have the sensors on board. You tap on your ear and it activates the sensor, and not only can you ask it questions about your hearing devices, and it'll pull up your help files and talk to you. But you could also ask it knowledge-based questions as if you would use any other virtual assistant. Will it rain today? What's the weather outside? How do I get to the nearest Starbucks? You can ask those type of things. But now you can also just talk to your hearing aid and ask it to change. So for example, I can double tap on my ear and say, turn up my hearing aid. Double tap on my ear and say, put me in my music setting, or move me to my outdoor setting. And you can do all of that just with your voice. So this is brand new. This actually launched in the end of February as an update to the Livio devices. Really fun. You can also use the voice commands to set reminders. This is something that I do pretty often when I'm traveling in my territory, driving home, or heading to the hotel. Back when we were having normal work life, I could just double tap on my ear and say, set a reminder to follow up with Dr. Smith. Set a reminder to call the pharmacy, and it does that for you. When it's time for those reminders, you'll hear audible reminders in your hearing devices, as well as seeing them on your phone, on your smartphone or tablet. It's one of my favorite features is the Thrive Assistant. And then we also have voice-to-text transcription. Let's take a peek at this.
While superior sound quality is always our top priority, we're continuously looking for ways to make our products do more for people. Our transcribe feature is a great example. Using the transcribe option in the Thrive Hearing Control app, conversations can be captured and transcribed into text that is displayed on the user's smartphone screen. Think of it as closed captioning for real-world situations. Imagine asking for directions on a busy street and getting a helpful but complicated answer. With Transcribe, you'll have those directions as text and then have the option of saving, texting, copying, or emailing what was said. Technologies are changing faster than ever, and hearing aids have evolved into multi-purpose devices. Transcribe is just one way today's advanced hearing aids are helping users do more.
During this time, this feature has been used more than ever. This is remote programming, or what you would call telehealth, or teleaudiology, telehearing care. So the feature allows the provider to make programming adjustments on your devices in real time without you having to be in the office. It's all done through the Thrive Cloud that's established when you download the Thrive app with your devices. This usually was for, people that might be a snowbird or have multiple homes. Maybe they had the problem getting into the office. But now this type of remote programming or tele-hearing care is pretty much the norm these days. And moving out of this situation, I think this will also be the norm moving forward, or people will not have to come into their providers' offices as often for small adjustments that can be made remotely. So this is really a hot topic right now for all of healthcare, and we have that available in the hearing healthcare as well. So don't let that be a reason that you don't want to move forward with correcting your hearing healthcare, because we do have remote programming capabilities. One of the biggest concerns with hearing devices is that they do require some maintenance. They are electronic devices with microphones and receivers and amplifiers and batteries, or rechargeable batteries, but some form of power source. And they do require some maintenance. If your receiver gets clogged with wax, because it does fit into your ear canal, our ear canals are susceptible to be having wax, moisture, sunscreen, maybe hair chemicals, hairsprays, things like that. So they have to be really durable, and the products are definitely durable. But we've introduced a feature called self-check that allows you, the user, to run what we would call an electroacoustical analysis performance test on the hearing aid, something that we would normally do in the office or at the factory, you now have the ability to do with your app to make sure that your receiver isn't clogged. If your microphones are clogged, it'll give you those check marks or X's if there's something wrong. If there is something wrong, it will tell you how to fix it, which is also really nice. And introducing, for the first time ever, we have the ability to customize lithium-ion rechargeable, healthable hearing devices. So all of the videos that you had seen up to now really showed the product with the over-the-ear style of hearing device, which is very popular. 80% of people pick that style of hearing device, but not everyone wants something over their ear, and a lot of people want rechargeable. So we have rechargeable already for over the ear. That's been out for several years now. But now we have rechargeable for devices that are in the ear. So you can get all of these beautiful, healthful features that we've talked about today with a product that fits in your ear. Now, this might look familiar, right? If you've been outside in the past, 3 years in a crowd of people, you see people walking around with earbuds in their ears or Apple AirPods or some type of device in their ears where they're streaming audio, their Bluetooth connection, they're tracking their activity. So we do have the product available in the black faceplate and black shell that makes it look like you're wearing one of those health and fitness trackers. This has actually been really popular color, and it has been popular in the younger generation where they might not want a skin color or hearing device in their ear. This looks cool and hip. And if you've done any research on hearing aids, if you Google hearing aids, and the next thing you know, you'll have all these ads coming into your email and on your social media, you'll see that there are a lot of kind of over-the-counter type of instant fit devices that look similar to this. This, however, is customized just for you through a hearing care provider, just like any of our Livio devices, fitting with your hearing loss and your ear. So we're really, really excited about this. It's been very popular. It launched at the end of February. And recently, at the end of December, we found out that Time Magazine awarded our Livio AI technology as one of the 100 best inventions of 2019. There has never been a hearing device to be on this list. So we are really happy about it. It's finally, we are changing the game when it comes to reinventing what people think of your traditional hearing aid. This is not your hearing aid anymore. And I think hopefully after today, you would all agree that Livio AI is not your grandpa's hearing device. So it looks like I do have some time for questions, or you can email. We do have a few more minutes. If there are any questions, I can take them.
Yeah, we asked the people who are here attending to submit additional questions in the chat box, and I can share them with Rachel. One question I have is that we all are not in Central Florida. We're all over the place.
Right.
So I'm in Ohio, Judy's in California. How do we go about contacting to find out more information locally?
Very good question. I think the best thing to do is to start with me through an email, and then I would find you a provider in your zip code area, or I can also just send you links to our Starkey.com consumer website, which has a provider near you. So there's two ways. You can start with me and I can direct you to a provider in your area, or if you just want to learn more about the technology, you can go to Starkey.com and they will highlight all of these features on there as well.
That sounds good. Another question. Link up would definitely be with all iPhone, iPads, and Android smartphones and tablets?
Yes. The Livio devices will pair to, well, there's two parts to the question. The Livio devices use an app called the Thrive Hearing Care app. The app is available for all iDevices, all Apple devices, but also almost all of the Androids if they're Android smart devices. The direct streaming capability, so like receiving audio from your Android phones, is different. It depends on the version of software that you're using, because the streaming that we use for hearing devices is Bluetooth low energy, so 2.4 gigahertz. And that has recently just been released on the Android operating system 10. So if your Android device is running that operating system, then not only would you have the app, but you would have direct streaming capabilities. If you have an older Android, something that's maybe a year and a half or 2 years old, there's a good chance Android doesn't allow you to update your software to the newest one, because they want you to buy a new Android, of course. But that's the requirement, Android operating system 10, and then all of the Apple devices already have a direct stream relationship.
Okay. Move your mouse off of that screen, because that shows up for us. All right, good list. If my insurance company doesn't cover this technology, what's the average general cost of the device?
Sure. And most insurances do not cover hearing health care. There
Oops, we lost you a little bit.
Are sometimes, or they might use a third-party administrator to help you get some discounts. But a range of cost of hearing devices, because they do come in different levels of technology. So we have 5 levels of Livios, depending on if you want all these features or just a few of these features. They range anywhere from $3,000 to about $6,500 for a pair of hearing devices.
Okay. This question doesn't make sense to me, but it will make sense to you. Are these available with cross hearing aids?
They are, yes. You can get any of the Livios and any of the technology levels with all these features in the cross system. And it can be rechargeable if you'd like that as well.
Good. On one of your slides, it said 12-hour wear time. What does that mean?
That's the amount of time that we as hearing care providers want you to wear your hearing devices each day. That's where your brain will receive maximum stimulation, maximum engagement, is if you wear them 12 or more hours a day. And that's how you'll be successful with hearing aids. When you only wear them for an hour here, an hour there, maybe you don't put them in every day, they really just don't work that well. That's not how their intention was designed.
Okay, that makes good sense, because some people who just might say, I'm going to put them in when I go out, and around the house I can turn the TV up real loud because I'm the only one here. But that's good.
John, there was one question about the email address, and to make it clear, it's Rachel _ That's why you think there's a space in there. It's Rachel _ and then her last name at starkey.com. And the blue line that goes completely under the email address
is just the link.
Blots out the underscore. Yeah. Good.
Yes, correct.
All right. That sounds good. All right. Since ears are different sizes, how do we deal with that?
Sure. And that's where that hearing care provider is super important. The lengths of the receivers or the speaker wires or the tubes, whatever you want to call them, they come in different lengths. We measure your ear, the size of your ear, and we fit the appropriate lengths. They also come in different power levels depending on your hearing loss. So we have to take that into consideration. And then if you want something more customized, we take impressions of your ears and send them to the factory in Eden Prairie, and then they customize the fitting for you. So it is like a mold that's made by your hearing care provider. It takes about 10 minutes at the appointment, and then they send them to Eden Prairie, Minnesota, where we build them and send them back for you. And then that hearing care provider would fit them. that is how we take care of that, customizing it.
Okay. Now this may be a part of the same kind of question before. My wife's left ear is bad. The hearing aid she has is where the left hearing aid transmits to the right hearing aid.
Yes, that's a cross system.
Thank you for those of us that don't know. Well, what happens though when you move out of Wi-Fi service?
Interesting question. So your hearing devices are going to work on their own without access to Wi-Fi. Some of these features that we talked about today require access to the cloud, like the language translation. So if you don't have access to internet, whether it's home Wi-Fi or your data on your, won't work very well. But just the normal everyday, like the body tracking, the brain tracking, the hearing aid working to correct your hearing and making sure that you hear in all the different environments, that is done all on its own. You don't have to have access to Wi-Fi for that.
Okay. A very good question because of people's concern. What about any kind of radiation health issues with these devices?
Good question, yes. So there are, of course, specifications that we have to follow with any type of electrical device that's body worn. And so we do adhere to all of those specifications. And in the specific product that you receive at your fitting, you will get a specification like readout. It's in the back of the user manual that tells you what it is. There's really not radiation. That's not something that we have in our hearing aids. We do use low energy Bluetooth though, 2.4 gigahertz, which is similar to your Wi-Fi that you have at home is 2.4 gigahertz, which is very, very little exposure. So nothing has ever been damaging from a hearing device right now. That's just not something that happens. If you wear a pacemaker, everything is okay. There's no history of hearing devices causing brain cancer or tumors in the brain or anything like that.
Good. Do you know whether or not that can you get this through the VA's Veterans Affairs for you?
Yes, you can. Yeah, the VA has had the Alivio AI over-the-ear devices for about a year. And then starting this month, actually, they will have the custom in-the-ear ones starting this month.
Can people get just one hearing aid device if they don't need it for the other ear?
Of course. If you have a normal hearing ear or something else is wrong with that ear where a hearing device just doesn't help, then you can get just one. Normal hearing loss does occur in both ears as we have birthdays. However, we will usually recommend two when you need to, recommend one when you need one, or recommend a cross if a cross system would be appropriate for you. Those are definitely things that your hearing care provider will go over with you once you have your test.
Good. And just to kind of clarify the question, that the black devices are in the ear and the white ones, like I saw it the last time, are over the ear. I should mention that I met Rachel at a conference in November and sat across the table from her after her presentation, realized that she was wearing one, and I couldn't even tell before she did her presentation when she sat there that you can't see these. So somebody said, you presume that the wearer is using only one of these devices at a time, of course. If I'm wearing this device over the ear, will I be able to hear voices at a loud sports bar in my right ear properly?
Well, so the way that we fit and recommend hearing devices is based on your hearing loss. So if you have hearing loss in both ears, we're going to recommend that you wear two, and they'll be programmed like a prescription for your hearing loss. And then that will help you hear in all of your environments, no matter where you are. Okay. If you decide as a user that you only want to wear one hearing device in a noisy, loud environment, it's actually not as good as if you were to wear two, because the hearing aids do work together. They have ear-to-ear communication that goes back and forth to make sure that you do hear best in all of those environments. So like, for example, if you're at a loud sports bar, someone's talking on the right side that you do want to hear, but someone talking on the left side, you're not so much into that conversation. You know, we want to make sure that the ears know who you want to focus on, right? So I want to clarify that the hearing aids come in all different colors. The ones that we showed you with the black in the ear custom one, that is just one option. We do have all of your normal skin tone colors for in the ear hearing aids, as well as skin tone colors for hearing devices that fit over your ear, match your hair, things like that as well.
Okay. One business side, would you prefer people to contact you by email or by phone?
Email would be great, yes.
Okay, because somebody asked. So if you want to contact her and then talk further, you can do that way.
Yes.
I had to step away for a second. How does, one of the slides talked about, switching to your outdoor mode. How does this is a question from here, but how does it work with these different noise environments? I know we talked in Florida about that there's, outside, in restaurants, at home. How does that work with that?
Right. So the hearing aids have machine learning in them. So they classify the sounds. These things are smart. So we can classify 7 different sound categories between music, quiet, speech, noise, wind, speech and loud noise, all kinds of different environments. And that's how we know what you're listening to. We can classify speech from the front, speech from the side, speech from the back. And we know that normally when you're trying to hear speech and it's coming from the front, that's probably the person you're most interested in hearing. So then we can compare that ear to ear. Okay, there's speech from the front. There's all these other noises around us. Most likely they want to hear that person that's across the table from them at this noisy restaurant. So we're going to focus on them. And that's all done with the machine learning that takes place through some of the artificial intelligence that's on board the hearing device.
I think we have time enough for one more, which is a good one in my case. What's the big difference between the over the ear and in the ear for somebody, especially for somebody who's got like a 60% hearing loss?
Right. There's a lot of ways to answer this. So first, we want to make a patient comfortable with what they're going to wear every day. If you don't feel comfortable putting on a device, whether it's because you don't like the way it looks or you can't manipulate the product, you don't want to deal with the battery, then we need to know. Although the ones that fit over the ear are the most popular, I had a situation at the end of February with a gentleman who was in his 50s, and that's all everyone was recommending to him. And he's like, I don't want this. These aren't cool. I don't like them. So I showed him, we had just launched the custom in the ear, the black ones. And I showed him the brochure of it. I didn't even have any. And he's like, okay, now we're talking. I would wear that every day. So it really is based on what you feel comfortable with putting in. We would never want to recommend a product and not show you everything that's available. We do have hearing aids that are 100% invisible too, that fit deep down in your ear canal. So a good hearing care provider will show you all of your options and find out what you're going to want to wear every day, because that's the key. If you make an excuse that you don't want to wear it and it's really because you don't like the way it looks, that doesn't help anybody.